Hello, unemployed programmer here. You ever realize how time just slips away? Speaking of time, as I'm approaching my 30s, I'm starting to realize that I never really needed to struggle. I was never taught to struggle. In a lot of ways, I think struggling is a skill. You struggle to build endurance and muscle. You struggle with emotions, with feelings, society, life. Some people struggle with finding a job. Some people struggle with mental health. Some people struggle with physical health, etc., etc. I think for a long time, I never really struggled with anything. Of course, I had a hard time with certain things over others, but I don't think I really understood what it was like to struggle. I don't think I was ever taught the meaning of struggle, what struggling feels like exactly. And so I don't think I've ever really identified that uncomfortable feeling, that physical sensation in your body when you feel like something's wrong but you don't know what. And I think this led me towards a fear of struggle itself. Maybe it's because I've kind of failed at exercising, so this fear of struggle also happened to my body the way that this idea of struggle scarred fear into my mind. And in a way, I'm scared that I'll never be mentally strong. You ever hear that old phrase, hard times make hard men? But what if you were a deserter? What if you ran away at the mere thought of battle? What if you were scared to step up to the mound and make a pitch? And I think learning how to work hard and struggle in your 30s feels really difficult, but I think it's worth it. And my hope is that before, this mortal coil is over, I can learn how to struggle and I can embrace that. So, overall, when you think about it, I think the story of humanity has always been about struggle itself. For a long time, humans struggled to stay alive, weather the storms and the harsh conditions, and try to find food and survive. And in a lot of ways, there's still a lot of humans on the planet that are still struggling with that. For me personally, over the past week, I've realized that whenever I've tried to do something hard, and I feel like stepping away from it, there's this physical sensation in my body. And when I try to shine a flashlight on that uncomfortable sensation, oftentimes it goes away. It's like the act of merely seeing it makes it disappear. When you notice something, it no longer exists. What do you think about that? What are the things that you struggle with? What are the things that keep you awake at night? Have you ever tried shining a flashlight on it? Consider doing so. I think the more that I practice this skill, because it really is a skill, the art of struggling while noticing what's making you uncomfortable, being in the full sensation of the struggle itself, I think it does make it so that the next time something's hard, something feels uncomfortable, you do the exercise, you focus on it, and you try to go through with it and see how it feels afterwards. This might sound familiar because in a lot of ways this is kind of what meditation is. And over the past week, as I've struggled with certain things, I've realized that I think I'm more capable than I know. In a lot of ways, I've kind of just breezed through life. Whenever something felt hard or uncomfortable, I gave up or ran away. And maybe that's why it feels so difficult to work hard sometimes. But I think we can all get through it. I think at the end of the day, it's just a skill that you have to teach yourself, and a skill that you can learn. The more awareness that you have about your body, where it feels uncomfortable, or about your mental and where it feels uncomfortable, the more you'll start to realize you can do what you think you're capable of. I think humans have this inner spark inside of them that they don't realize themselves. I think personally I'm capable of a lot, and life isn't a race. At the end of the day, we leave all of the things that we accumulated behind as we disappear into the ether. And I really do think that sometimes it's just about trying, and not necessarily about succeeding. In 1965, BBC recorded a television series called Tomorrow's World, and in many of clips that you might find online, kids make predictions about what the future will be. what they think they'll be doing, and the type of life that they'll live. In a lot of ways, certain things that they predicted were right, but a lot of other ones were wrong. I think humans are really, really bad predictors of the future. For me personally, I thought my life at my current age would be completely different than what it is now. Although I've accomplished virtually nothing, I know for a fact that I've grown considerably as a person compared to the kid that I was. When I was a kid, I used to get sick a lot. My tonsils would get swollen, and so I would develop fevers, etc., to the point where I wouldn't be able to go to school. And I think my future seemed really convenient for me when I was a kid, because although I wouldn't go to school very much at all for long periods of time, I still did really good on tests and whatnot. And this kind of gave me the impression, I think, when I was a kid, that I would never have to struggle with anything. This is the only kind of thing and hardship that I would ever have to deal with. As I grew older, my immune system developed. My tonsils are still there, but they no longer get as swollen and cause my body to have weird reactions. I think everyday hardship is similar to that. As you experience hardship or difficulty in your life, you grow as a person, and things that were difficult no longer seem difficult anymore. This week I started running, and one of the things that I've really tried is when I feel really, really out of breath and I feel like I can't go any longer, I try to stay in that feeling, that zone of my lungs feeling like they're burning and about to explode, that I can't get enough breath in my body. And after I stay in that state of mind for a little bit, I try to memorize that feeling, what it feels like at that current moment. And when I try right now, I can still envision it. But then afterwards, a few hours after running, I realize that I feel really good. My lungs feel like they're wider, like my breaths are deeper. It's really annoying that humans are wired like this. That the more difficulty that we face, the harder we become. In a lot of ways, it feels like we start out as lumps of iron that eventually become forged into a tool or a weapon or whatever else. I know that that's kind of a strange metaphor to think about, because we're constantly changing and growing and evolving, maybe regressing. But I think as my mindset has changed, my beliefs have changed too. I really think that we can all do it. That we can survive, that we can thrive, that we can grow. When you realize that you're all that you really need. You are your greatest supporter. If you believe in yourself and you show yourself that you can do things that you don't think you can, it probably will become easier in the future. Or at least I hope so. But, what do I know?